Welcome to our podcast, Born Again Credit, where credit is restored, not just repaired. This is your host, Salvation's Call Ministries, with Born Again Credit. I just want to thank you for joining us here today, and to let you know today's topic is account dispute letters. We're going to be talking about how to structure and write those letters. And we're also going to be talking about some tips to get you better results and to get the most out of your effort, time, and money spent on postage, and to make the best out of your opportunity to repair and restore your credit as you need. But I want to thank you for joining us. We appreciate and we love the support of those who have subscribed, those who follow us on the various social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button for us, and hit that like button for us, and go ahead and follow us on Spreaker if you follow us that way. But I want you to think for a second about what it is that would come next in the process. Perhaps you've already got your credit reports pulled. You've already looked over your reports, and now you have the accounts that you have, and you even already know why you want to dispute them. You've seen what it is about them that's incorrect, that's frivolous, that's erroneous, that's wrong, or even maybe not even yours. At this point in time, you've already looked at them. You already know what's wrong with those accounts. So now all you're trying to do is put together a dispute letter to send in to the bureaus. But one of the most common questions I get from people is asking what goes on a dispute letter, and how are they supposed to be written? What is supposed to be on them? And my answer is always keep it simple. Include all the mandatory information the bureaus require, but never, ever use a template. Never, ever go on Google and pull off a template and just replace the information up there with your information and send it in. Templates are letters that kind of follow a basic style that a lot of people use. They often replace only like names and the dates and accounts in the form. I've even seen where people just printed one off, scratched out information, and then wrote theirs beside it. This does not work. And it's a good way for your the term I used earlier, frivolous, for it to get sent back. But consider this. If a template was easy enough for you to find on Google or find anywhere else, any search engine, how many other people like you have actually used that template? And you've probably guessed it right off the top of your head. Thousands have probably used that same letter. So it's important to note that many times a person doesn't even check your letter. You'd be surprised to know that a person doesn't actually sit down and investigate your account. A lot of times, they may, pull the actual papers out the envelope, out the mail, but they will often stick those letters into a scanner or some kind of machine that they have there, and then it places it. Basically, it scans it and places it in a software system that all the bureaus tend to share and use as far as sharing data. And they look for it's like algorithms building the system. They look for patterns and things of that such. But it's called eOscar, and this software, it scans it for similarities with other letters. And what they want to do is to see and make sure you aren't one of those credit repair companies that they get a lot, that you aren't one of those credit lawyers that they see a lot, and that happens a lot of times when you use legal jargon. And what they'll do is they'll if you do that, if you send a letter in that fashion, they'll send you back a letter saying your dispute is frivolous. And frivolous basically means it's it's to them it's basically junk mail, okay? And we don't want that. That's definitely not the response we want. And basically, the end result is that few accounts are ever going to get deleted that way, okay? But my letter style is much different. And basically, the goal is to look as much like a normal person as possible. basically a normal person who just ran into some errors on their credit report, and you're just looking to get some help, looking to get fixed. But when you look like someone with a story who genuinely needs help, you begin to work on the emotions of the person on the other side. You're working them. You're selling your story to them. But you're not being too wordy. You don't want to get too wordy. But the relationship becomes warmer, and you appear as basically a person to them and not just a number. Because most responses to letters are just, you're just a number on a sheet. But this is the reason my first round letters typically get a lot of results. And what I've discovered is when it's done right, it's not uncommon to get multiple items deleted off the first round. It's not uncommon for me to sometimes get multiple items deleted off the second round, down to, second round a lot of times looks like that's where I'm starting to see the real difficult stuff only not fall off. It's hard sometimes to get certain accounts off, and we could go into detail about that. Now, certain companies keep better records than others, so we're not going to go too much into detail about that. But what we'll say is that the method absolutely matters. But our goal is to get our letters read by a human being. So I personally make it as difficult as possible to run my letters through a machine. I do not want them run through a machine if possible, but handwriting the letters works great. Definitely if it's on some kind of special paper, right? Not on traditional printer paper, but you can do it that way. I've also, you could use special design paper, different colors, or even different types of paper like notebook. I've even sent in stuff like written on pretty much wrinkled or torn out of like college ruled notebooks, just for effect there to make it look normal. I've written stuff that to make it look like maybe a little old elderly lady maybe have wrote it and put stickers on it or whatever. But I've also stapled forms together. Postal Service isn't like that all that well. It does something to the machines, but when you send it certified mail like you're supposed to, I think that makes a huge difference for them. And there's other methods that you'll see out there, but these are the things that I've used and it seems to work. But consider format is what depends on how your disputes are treated. I try to switch up the format quite a bit. I never use the same style, and I change up the order of details such as the address and the phone number, etc. So the example I'm going to give you, a lot of people are probably going to see, so you may want to change up the order of it. What I do always try to keep the same is that I make sure my name is at the top of the form, at the top of the letter. That's for obvious reasons, right? But there's basically 4 major parts you need to keep consistent, okay? And having them in this order kind of matters. So number 1 is the reason. I'm writing this letter today because I was in need of a car. I was going to get a car finance, and I wanted to know what state of my credit was in. So I was reviewing my reports. I'm looking to buy a home. My local credit union pointed out to me that something may not be right with my credit report. They noticed something wrong. Anything of that nature, okay? Whatever your specific reasoning is. It doesn't have to be all that serious. You could be planning to buy a home, but you're repairing your credit because you want to buy a home. So maybe you're saying you want to look for a home. Number 2 is justification. So there's errors, there's inaccuracies, there's a late payment showing on this collection, there's whatever, okay? There's your justification. Your accounts basically list the name, the account number, and the problem with the account, followed by what I would consider to be whatever action you want that bureau to take. Please delete, update, etc. Remember, we're not getting all accounts deleted, especially if it's a good long account and it has a late payment. We want them to update it, okay? We want them to show paid as agreed, okay? That would be a good update. Most of the time you get updates, though, it's ones you don't want, unfortunately. But here's an example of a dispute letter. I'm going to just go ahead and kind of explain it to you. But if you'll go ahead and visit our blog, you'll see, and perhaps you're already there, and that's how you found this podcast today. But at the top of the form, you'll see name. On the right-hand side at the top, you'll see home address. Underneath the name, there's date. Underneath the home address on the other side, Social Security number, and then date of birth. And back on the other side, you got credit report number, bureau name, bureau address, and of course the city and state zip code. And then, of course, you start the letter. To whom it may concern, or Dear TransUnion, Experience, etc. Okay. Recently, I walked into my bank to discuss buying a home, blah, 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 blah. They told me there appeared to be some errors on my credit report. That got me curious, as I need to purchase whatever you just mentioned. I examined my report further, and now I have a few things that I spotted that do not appear to be correct. These are the accounts in question. So I got an example here of Capital One credit card, and in parentheses, account number, blah, 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 blah. This is a closed account showing it's open, it's paid off, but it also shows a balance. So, et cetera, et cetera. You can keep right on going. The list as long as you've got accounts you're disputing. So, remember, we're not disputing everything, just what needs to be improved, okay? Please delete all of these accounts due to inaccuracies and errors, as they should not be placed on my credit report. Thank you for your help. Never, ever, ever sign any dispute letter you send to the bureau collector. They will transpose your signature. They're crooked. Remember, we've already talked about this. Some individuals, some organizations are crooked. And because you can't always know who you're dealing with, you've got to treat them all the same. Okay? It's a business. It's the business world. It's always been ran that way. So understand that, and understand that they're out in business for themselves, not necessarily to help you if they can get away with it, because it doesn't make them money to help you. But this letter can include basically all of the accounts in question with the specific bureau addressed on that specific letter. Of course, you want to write separate letters to each bureau with the individual accounts. That a lot of times you'll have accounts that show on one that don't show on the other, or vice versa. So after finishing the letter, you mail them out as soon as you can, because the date's already written on them, remember, already placed on them. Always send the letters by certified mail. I know from experience that especially Equifax likes to play they didn't get it. And by the time you figure it out, you're already so frustrated by the whole process because they haven't said anything back to you. They've obviously ignored you, and you have no proof because you didn't send it certified. You sent it by stamp. It's cheap. I get it. But I made the same mistake in the beginning. It is not helpful, okay, because they will ignore you. Certified mail, it's hard to ignore you if you got proof you sent the letter. Always important to remember is don't talk crazy in your letter, making threatening statements, acting like you're a lawyer, or making false claims about identity theft or who you are if that's not actually the truth. Don't talk down on anyone. For some level of sympathy here, you don't want to talk down to anyone. And after a few rounds of letters, my tactics usually get a little more aggressive in verbiage and nature. It sounds a little bit more technical and professional, but never anything outrageous. So especially this first letter, you are nothing but Joe the plumber, and you are trying to get just some help. You're just trying to get some help, okay? To get some things deleted. But as always, we are here to support you in prayer and advising on where to turn next. And if you have any questions, any concerns, or you need help with the next step in the process, become a partner with us today. And we would love to assist you with everything you need to help get to that next level. That's what we're here for. We're a ministry. We are here to serve God in any way possible that we can. And You know, he's been good to us, and I'm sure he's been good to you. And if that's the case, if you need that assistance, you need that help, you need that guidance, don't hesitate to reach out to us online. We've got email, we've got forms you can submit to ask questions and to get in contact with us. But if you like our help or partnership to do the work for you, possibly also visit our credit restoration pages. Guys, we're a lot easier to work with and cheaper than the credit repair companies because we are a ministry. We don't operate on profit. We operate on bare minimums, okay? Very low budgets. So salvationscall.org /credit restoration. Just go to salvationscall.org, click on credit restoration tab. Also below that, I'll pop up a credit restoration blog. If you want to find out some information, read that. Otherwise, thank you for joining us. We love and appreciate you. God bless.